Okay, good evening, good evening, good evening. Yes, yes, yes. Welcome to Thursday, 7 p.m. It's another day for another webinar, Ember webinar, hosted by Commercial Business Academy. If you can hear me, please give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you can hear me. All right, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, all right. Good to see you, Jimbo. All right, so I see Martin, I see Nana, I see some very familiar names. Okay, so please drop your. I like what Dominic has started. Just let me know your name and your business in the chat box. I know that today some of us are watching the vetting. Some Georges. He was my senior in school, tech. Well, we're in the same mass drama, and I'm so proud of him. I hope he goes through. I hope he goes through. All right. So thank you for making time to join us. This is our last session for the month of January. And today we are closing off on business growth strategies for this year. Okay. All right. So I see Nanasika from Bust Perfumery and then Dominic from Biospace GH. Well, it's the best time to actually look at how our businesses are performed in January because today is actually like the last but one day. Today is the 30th, and it would be nice to have some of you share how business has been so far this month for you. All right, I'm not sure if you you would want to share that. So, how has business been for you this month? Anybody? Any takers? Anybody to share how business has been for them this month? How has business
Sir,
been for
hello,
you?
sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, Dominic, please. You can have a
Yes,
go at
sir.
it.
Yes, sir. Oh, the month is not easy. We are just startup. We are putting out some legal documents, signing of MOU with some partners and other things. So we are still under the skillet. So we are just signing document and other things with the partners.
Well, so you're going through the whole process of structuring your
Exactly,
business.
exactly,
Yeah. So you haven't
exactly.
started making money yet, right?
Not yet, not yet. We
Okay,
are yet
okay,
to start making money.
okay. That's good. That's good. So I guess those processes too, you may not be able to speed them up, but I guess it's all part of the teething issues. You get over them soon. All right. Anybody else to share how their month has been before we get into the session for today? How has your month been? Anybody else? Please, these sessions are supposed to be interactive. So let's try and share. Okay. Let's see who is in the room. We have Jonathan Kobina from Kogam Manufacturing Limited, Kumasi. Thank you for joining again, Jonathan. We have Martin Kojo Ejekum, also from Kogam. Okay, that's great. So you guys are doing this together. Okay. So please, when you join us, just share your name and then, well, if you have your name on the webinar, you don't need to share your name. Just tell us the name of your company and where you're joining us from. Okay. And then we would be able to start today's session. Okay. We are taking reviews of how business has been. Those of you who have not joined the Ember 100 yet, please do join because from the first week of February, we'll really be looking at your operations and your performance and what we can do to probably to support the growth of your business. So try and join Ember 100. You go to ember.ecomiso.com/ember100 and then sign up. And then you'll be part of the 100 businesses that we are paying attention to and providing support to throughout the year. All right. Okay, so I see Barbara here. I see Matilda. Oh, I see Shafa too. I see Stephen. Thank you so much for joining, guys. It's our last webinar for the month of January. And today, like last week, is going to be fire, okay? Oh, man. I had a lot of fun last week, and I'm hoping that this week will be the same. Time check 7:07. We just have about 3 minutes. If anybody wants to share how business has been, any challenges you faced in January that you would want us to look at, that would be great. So we have just about 2 minutes before we get into today's session. So if you want to share, please let us know so that we can share. All right. Anybody? Please, business people, you have to make your voice heard. All right. You can't afford to be quiet, especially when there are other people in the room that can potentially be your clients, your partners, your service providers, or even your investors. So try not to be too quiet when you're given opportunity in any forum to speak. All right. So try not to be too quiet. That's all I'll share with you. So we just have about 2 more minutes. If you would want to share, this is the time to do so. Anybody? Okay. All right. So let's go into our session for today. So throughout the month of January, we've been looking at strategies for ensuring that your business is growing in 2025. And I believe we've shared quite a number of things. I don't know if we'll have enough time to do like a review for those that have joined us in the past for some of the things that you've picked up. But I'm certain that we've been sharing some strategies that all of us can use. And last week was more like somebody described it as an introspective session, all right, where we had to take an introspective look and then address the challenges that we are all facing. Essentially, last week was supposed to be like, is your business doing well? Have you tried it for a long time? And can you predict that this business is going to be okay? If you can't, then there's nothing wrong with trying to do something differently or getting a job. And I think that was at the heart of most of our discussions from last week, right? There's nothing wrong with trying to get a job, all right? If even if you really want to do things for yourself. And I think one of the things that I emphasized on last week is that the difference between somebody that is having a job and somebody that is having a business is that for the person that is having a job, you are working with the employer, but the person that has a business, you are working for the customer. All right. So the only difference really is that in your business, you work for the customers directly. In another person's business, you're working with that person to serve their customers. Okay. So essentially, that's really the only difference. So if you realize that, okay, you may need some kind of experience, or you may need to learn something, or you may, need to make money because you are in survival mode, there's nothing wrong with actually getting a job just for some time, right? To be able to help you gather your thoughts, gather your strategies, and then come back strong. All right. I wasn't a firm believer of this, but the truth is that you have to be able to figure out which stage of life you are in, right? If you're at the stage of life where you are independent. That means that you're not dependent on anybody to give you money to survive, and you are independent and you need money to survive. You need to know that, Charlie, the most important thing is not necessarily to start your business if it's not doing well, especially if you've started the business already and it's not doing well. The most important thing is to make money. And you can make money by doing your own business or by working for somebody else. And there's nothing wrong with that. But eventually, as you're building your finances and your experience and your skill sets and your knowledge in somebody else's business, you can easily get into your own business. But let's assume that on this call, on this webinar today, everybody who is doing their own business want to do their own business, and they've come to the conclusion that they really want to do their own business. And those are the people that I am talking to today. All right. Those that want to do their own business. And no matter what I say, they will still focus on doing their own business. Those are the people that I want to talk to today. All right. Good. Okay. Please do well to mute your mic when you join so we don't have that feedback. Okay, so what do I have for you today? Please, in the course of the session, right, if you have any questions, please put in the chat box and then I will do well to address them. Also, if you want to speak, just raise your hand and I will call you so that you can speak, right? Again, this is the last day of January. So it's the best day to actually have an introspective look about our performance in January. Okay. And if you're in business, the only measure of whether you're doing well or not is how much you made. All right. The only measure of whether you're doing well or not is how much you have made. So then in January, how much have you made? You know that for yourself. Okay. This is the best time to figure it out because honestly, it's just left with tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow is the last day. So at least by now, you should be able to have an idea how much you have made. Okay, so let me see. Okay, please when you join, mute. I need to check this thing out. Okay, so Nanasika says that we are relaunching, so we didn't make any sales this month. We are relaunching, so we didn't make any sales this month. Okay, that's fair. That's fair. All right. So today, what do I have for you? Today, I'm going to talk about what I call the 6P's. The 6P's, all right, to business growth. And last week, I think that we talked about the 1P that is most important. Okay, which in this 6P, that's the last, but then it's actually the most important. So then it's been the last serves as a foundation for all the P's, right? So the 6P's for business growth, which actually is something that I hope all of you, you're going to write down because it is very, very important for you to know these 6P's, right? And for those of you who did some economics or some business in school, I'm sure you know people, place, and all those location and things like that. This is very close, but this is also something that I would want us to take note of because at the end of the day, if you really want to see your business grow, you have to take note of the 6P's. All right. And these 6P's are literally abbreviations of 6 words that I believe will form the foundation of what will result in the growth of your business. What will result in the growth of your business. So let's start quickly and then we can wrap up on time. The first P, if you really want to see your business grow and you really want to build a structure and a system that will ensure the continuous growth of your business, the first P you need to note is people. People. I've said it over and over again on this call, on this Ember webinar, that nothing in business is more important than people. Nothing in business is more important than people. Why? Because people make things happen. People make the business happen. Business is nothing but people. So for anybody that is on this call that has a business that is not good with people, it's either you learn it or you have a co-founder who is good with people. All right. So people is the number 1P that you need to take note of. And what do I mean by people? The essence of doing business is solving problems for people. But the person that decides to start the whole process of solving, in fact, identifying a problem and solving it, is the number one most important person in business, which is you. Everything rises and falls on you. As John Maxwell would say, everything rises and falls on leadership. And you who has started the business and is running the business, you are the leader that everybody is looking up to. Your business is literally taken after you. I've said it time without number that your business is a reflection of who you are. So if you want to see your business grow, you need to grow. Your business is a reflection of who you are. And if you want to see your business grow, you have to grow. And how do you grow? You grow in your knowledge, you grow in your skills, you grow in your experience, you grow in your exposure, you grow in your network. And definitely, you grow in everything that you keep doing day after day. So your habits, your routine, and most importantly, your mindset. All right. Everything starts from neck up. What you think of yourself is actually the reality. What you think of the present and the future is the reality. How you allow the past to affect you actually is also some of the things that we all need to grow in. Right. So when we talk about people in business, we are talking first about you. Okay, you decided to start the business, and everything about the growth of the business will be dependent on you. If you don't know something, don't waste too much time trying to experiment. Just go and find it from somebody who has done it before. Read about it, learn, and then just replicate. There is nothing wrong with copying when it comes to the real world. Copying, I always say, is only illegal in the classroom because in the classroom, you're expected to know. But in the world, you're expected to know where to find the help and the solution you need. All right. So that's where, if you really want your business to grow this year, please don't be comfortable, especially when you know you're not growing in your knowledge of the business, in the skills, and especially in some of the places that you know you are weak in. Go and learn, grow, keep challenging yourself, and literally be very different from who you used to be because you cannot essentially keep growing your business at the twice or three times the pace you desire when you are the same person that you were last year. Okay? So people start with you. Everything rises and falls on you when we're talking about business. What's the second thing? The second thing, I'm sure a lot of you would probably be surprised because I'm not going to talk about employees, right? Employees actually come third. The second thing is customers. When you start your business, before you even hire somebody, make sure you have a customer. For those of you who are just starting, those of you who are relaunching, those of you who are doing the preparatory things you need to be able to start your business well. The most important thing I'll tell you is not even about how nice your ideas are, how amazing your inventions or your innovations or your solutions are. The most important thing beyond yourself when it comes to the P in business is customers. Go find a customer. And on this note, I will state that the most important activity in any business is sales, customer acquisition. Customer acquisition. That is the most important activity in any business. You may spend a lot of time in all the structuring, restructuring, launching, relaunching, registering, re-registering, all those things you do, innovating, re-innovating, changing your products, adding more, taking away. The most important activity in any business, aside you growing, is customer acquisition. Okay? You acquire a customer, you serve a customer, you manage a customer. These three activities, please bear that in mind in the 6 P's of business growth that I'm sharing with you. If I don't finish today, I'll continue next week. Don't worry. Take note of these things. I hope you come to class with notebooks and pens or something to take notes with. Of course, these videos will also be shared with you. The most important activity in any business is customer acquisition. It's not in getting an office. It's not in getting, unless you are even in like an industry where before you acquire a customer, you need to get a license or you need to get a permit or you need to, and even that, it is necessitated by demand, right? If you're going to get into a business and go and acquire a license and all that, and you can't predict from somebody else's business that is similar to yours that there's so much demand that customers are waiting to be served, then why are you wasting time and money trying to get all these licenses when you can't predict to a certain level of certainty that there will be demand on your products or your services? All right. So I would emphasize again, more than anything else, you and I know businesses that have even that sold so much before they decided to formalize, right? When you look at the informal businesses, those that sell the watches and the cocos and all those places, they don't necessarily go through registration, licensing, food and drugs board, and all those things before they start selling. You and I want to build a business that actually, outlives us. And that's why we need to do things right. But the truth is that beyond trying to do things right and all those things, who wants what you want to sell? Who wants what you want to sell? And let me emphasize again for the third or the fourth or the final time, the most important activity in any business is not social media, it's not a logo, it's not branding, it's not all those nice things. Because you and I know people that want to buy when you're not even ready. That is a good business. Customer acquisition, customer service, and customer management. Acquiring a customer, the process of prospecting, making a sale, closing a sale. A lot of us hate sales. If you hate sales and you are in business, then you better find the money to hire people who are good at sales. Okay, the truth is, an entrepreneur or a businessman is nothing but a salesman or a saleswoman. Anybody that has succeeded in business, they know how to sell. They know how to sell themselves. They know how to sell their ideas. They know how to sell their products. They know how to sell their business. If you don't like sales, then you better take another look. All right. And that's why social media has come to save a lot of us. If you don't like actually physically selling, you can learn the act of digital sales or digital marketing, where you acquire people using the internet. Because then, even that, the having to interact with people, your fear of rejection, and then taking a no, and all those things uh, is a bit minimized, right? So, at the end of the day, the most important activity is sales, customer acquisition. It's always about the customer, my brothers and sisters. No matter how annoying they are, it's always about the customer. All right. So in the 6 P's, the first one is people, and people, we are breaking it down. One is who, you. Two is the customer. Three is the investor. You see where I think I've shared this before, the investor or whoever you can go to get access to money, to get access to resources, to get access to connection, to get access to, some privileges that will move the needle forward for your business. Investors, advisors, anybody that can actually help you move forward in your business comes third in the P of people, right? So you, customers, investors, and then the fourth one is employees, all right? Employees, because no employee would work for any number of time without money. In fact, the reason why they are known as employees is because they are giving you their time, which is divine currency, and that's why we call it 9 to 5 or 8 to 5. They give you that time in the demonstration of their knowledge, skills, capacities, competence, and in exchange, you give them money. So now, no matter how much they love you, if you don't pay them over a period of time, they will leave. And that's okay. Every time I do consulting for business owners, and that they are so passionate and annoyed about the employees not being proactive, the employees having to be micromanaged. You have to talk and talk and talk before they can get things right. And they don't understand why the employees are not proactive, they are not productive, and they have to always be chasing them to get work done. And I always tell them one thing: if employees were anything close to you, they will be your competitors and they won't be your workers. All right? Because the truth is, if they are that good, why are they working for you? Okay? It's either they're so good, but maybe they need money and they don't have what it takes to get the money to start the business. It's either they are so good, but they can't take initiative. Right? There are some people who can't take risk, they can't take initiative. So then they will let you lead and then they'll come and support. Right? It isn't that they are so good that maybe they're at a point in their life where they just want to learn. So they're coming to join your business to learn. All right. Or it's either they are so good because they just admire what you're doing and they want to help you. But whatever the case is, if you find an employee that is so good, the probability is that personally they are good because of where they've come from. Maybe they've had experiences that has trained and shaped them, or they've had training, you understand, that has shaped the way they work, or by their own personalities, they hold themselves in high
They hold
esteem.
themselves in.
And because of that, they are able to, deliver the result you're expecting. Whatever the situation is, you should know that people that are good are not necessarily cheap. So that if you want the best, you have to pay the best. You have to pay competitive pricing, or you have to pay in time of training, equipping, and empowering them to deliver. And that's where the need for micromanaging comes in. You need to literally tell them exactly what to do, how to do it, and make sure they are doing it the same way you want them to do it. Okay? Because at the end of the day, if you find employees that don't need your help, the likelihood that they may not last with you if the business is not growing at the pace that they desire is high. Okay, so you may not even be able to retain them. But unfortunately, a lot of us desire a certain caliber of employees, but we don't have the money to pay them that competitive salary. So eventually, they leave. And then we are left with what I call the remnants of Judah. All right? And with the remnants of Judah, you need to lead them. They say that, okay, there's a hand up. Dominic, your hand is up. Please, you can ask your question.
Yes, sir. Looking at the caliber of people you are grouping to for business owner, customers, investors, employees. If you are a business owner and you source your raw material from somebody, how do you categorize the person to these four people?
If you're a business owner and then you
Yes.
source your raw material, those are your service providers, right? So they can be
Okay.
categorized
Yes.
as service providers and they are part of the people. Yes. So that can be the fifth arm in the people because they are also like stakeholders. Essentially, they are
Okay.
like investors in your business because some of them, they might even give you the products for free for some time and then you pay them after you've been
Okay.
able to sell. But if you want to categorize them
Okay.
differently from your investors, you can always put service providers as part of the five people that make the people category. All right, so that's
Okay,
very
sir.
good. Yes, that's very good.
Thank you, sir. Thank
You're
you, sir.
welcome. All right, that's good. Just like Dominic has done, please, if you have any questions, try and raise your hand. I will stop call and then we'll discuss because it's not a talk show. If you're not able to continue by God's grace, as long as we have life, we'll continue next week. All right. So, in all that I've said, I'm giving you the 6 P's that will build the foundation of your strategies for growth in business. And the first one is people, right? And the people is led by you. Everything rises and falls on you. Grow and your business will grow. All right. And then you come to, after you is your customers. After your customers is your investors, people that in one way or the other are giving you resources, money, connections, whatever, even holding you accountable. Those people are more important in the grand scheme of things before even employees. Some of us, we are always in a hurry to hire people because just like me, when I started a business, an indicator of I'm doing well in business is when I have employees. As you can see, I like to talk. So every morning I want to do a meeting, and it felt good. But that's not business. In fact, that is liability. That is taking money away from you. But that's supposed to be an investment into your people to enable them to grow. But when you have too many meetings, it's actually a liability to your business, right? And then you get to understand what I mean by what I'm saying. So having an employee is not necessarily the goal of a business. Having an employee is actually necessitated by the demand that you are getting from people who need your products or services. All right. The need to get an employee is because there is a demand that you need to serve, or there are activities that you need to do to be able to take care of the demand that is coming, or because of a projected demand, you need employees. But if it's only because you are tired and you need people, or you want to feel like a boss, so you want to hire somebody, please, I beg you. If you are tired, then you might need to learn how to efficiently do what you're doing that makes you so tired. Or you can also outsource part of what you're doing. So you don't have to do everything. But if you don't have clients enough, then don't burden yourself by bringing in somebody else. And I think I was also talking about the quality of employees, because the more quality they are, the more you have to pay them. And stop whining and complaining about salaries that you pay your employees. The truth is, the lower the salary, the more the training you have to give them, the more the support you have to give them, the more the encouragement, the more the motivation, the more the hand holding, the more prayers you have to pray for them. I'm telling you, anybody that is paying low, and low is relative, right? Because depending on the sector, depending on your the type of business and all that. But the truth is low, right? So if you know that currently you don't have the money to actually pay competitive salaries, but you're getting people that are committed and they want to learn, know that it is your duty to ensure that you are training them, providing them the support they need to be able to deliver the way you want them to. It is your duty. Why? Because you've been able to afford them, but then if you keep them the way they came, they will frustrate you. And that's one of the things I deal with a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of businesses in my consultancy engagements. They always complain about the employees, but when you ask them, what is your training schedule? What is your training plan? What is your capacity building strategy? How are you grooming and growing these people? They don't know. What is your leadership strategy? They don't know. But how do you expect to get a high productive or a highly productive employee who has serious experience cheap at a cheap cost? It doesn't make sense. How? How do you expect that? And then you get them in cheap, and then you don't want to train them, you don't want to invest in them. And some of you are afraid that after investing in them, they leave. What if you don't invest in them and they stay? They're going to frustrate you. And please don't forget, at the end of the day, no matter how much your employees love you, when your business collapse, they won't stay. In fact, when they even see that things are not going well, they won't stay. You are probably the only person who will still be there in thick and thin. So because of that, you need to make sure that you are investing in your people in a way that is enabling them to produce at the heights that you would want them to produce for you. It is your duty. All right. So your duty, one, is to make sure you are serving a client. Two, to make sure you don't run out of money. Three, to make sure you are developing your people to perform at the speed and at the quality that you expect. And unfortunately, sometimes we tend to be leaders with no experience ourselves. So then we are all doing try and error. So then when you have employees that are quality employees, they come into your business, they realize that, nah, this is not a leader that I want to serve. And then they leave. All right. So we as leaders, we need to grow. We need to learn. We need to be a step ahead all the time. We need to know before they think. So please, these, and then of course, as Dominic said, you can add your service providers, your partners, your stakeholders as the fifth arm. All right, so let's go very quickly. We have the people. Everything about business is people. Even if you're doing dog food, you don't sell to dogs. Dogs don't buy food. Dogs just eat. It's the dog owners that buy. So even if you're doing something that is not providing a service or a product to a human being, it's still a human being that you need to be able to make the business work and succeed. So there's no way you can do a business and say that I don't like people. That is a funny thing to ever say for anybody that has a business, unless you build your business to a point where you don't have to interact with your customers. All right. So you've gotten that point, right? Okay. So is there any question here with regards to the people side of business? Your growth is directly dependent on this people. The more you grow, the more your business grows. All right. The more your customer base grows, the more your business grows. The more your employees are empowered, the more your business grows. The more your investors, the more your business grows. The more your stakeholders, your service providers, the more quality, the more your business grows. And here, I'll just stop for a while and then ask you, for those of you who are in business, when you go through financial challenges, who do you ask for money from? Those of you who are in business, when you go through financial challenges, who do you ask for money from? Are your closest friends comfortable with talking to you about money, lending you money? And have you ever borrowed and paid back before? A lot of people are very averse, like they don't like loans, they want to do it themselves, they want to bootstrap. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a height of growth that we desire to get to that we can't get to with our own money, with our own resources. Just check every business that is big that you have heard of, right? It is not their own money through and through. It's just a few businesses that are able to grow organically with their own proceeds and profits. They don't get investors, they don't get loans. It's a few of them. And even they, eventually, they get bought by those that access capital. And then there are so many levels of accessing funding or accessing financing. And the first one is your family and friends. In other terms, they call it the fools. And a lot of times I find it very interesting that we have business people who don't even have one person that they can ask for money from when they are in tight corners. Some of you are married and you can't even ask your spouses because already they don't believe that, Charlie, the thing you're doing, there's any future in it. So you are not able to even ask your spouses for money. You're not able to ask your family because they told you to go and get a job. You said no, you want to be an entrepreneur. Nuance. Now, the thing has bent. You need money to start again. Who would you go and ask for? So please, I want you to type in the chat box at this time because we are still talking about the P's. We are starting with the 1P, which is people. And here I'm basing it on the investors category. How many people, top of mind, can you go and ask for money from? And they will be willing to give you financing. They'll be willing to support you. Even if it's not that big money, at least 10,000, 5,000, 20,000, 100,000, 1 million, 2 million. This is an exercise I want. If you can hear me, I beg you, there are 40 of us on this call. Don't just come for this training and go and you don't do anything about it. This is the first thing I'm asking you to do for me today. Put in the chat box the number of people you can confidently go and ask for money from when you are going through hard times in business. Is it one person? Is
Hello.
it two people? Is it three people? Is it four people? Think about it. Trust me, it's a very good exercise. You may never need them, but if when you ever are in need of money, these people can come to mind and you can confidently go and ask for money from them. Put the number of people there. If it's zero, put zero there. Don't be shy. We are here to learn. All right, OT Zone Value Chain. Please, yeah, change your name so that we know your name. But your hand is up, so please speak.
Yeah, so good evening to you all. Thank you very much for this opportunity. You've done a nice presentation. Okay, so with regards to the business, okay, um, I learned things through the hard way. This is my 3.5 years of operation. I'm into commodities.
Okay.
When I first started, it's an experience I want to share. Probably, I don't know if you would give me the platform.
Oh, please go ahead.
So when I first started, I quickly resorted to taking cash from investors. And within a short period of time, I got liquidated. So I had to work so hard using my savings to pay back these investors. Why did it happen so? Because I was running on an enterprise. The business was registered as an enterprise. So meaning I am the sole owner or sole proprietorship of the company. Later, I got to realize that that wouldn't help. So I had to push from enterprise to a limited liability company. So I was willing to open up and then give a percentage to potential investors. I did that because they would come in with funds. And secondly, there will be the board that would make decisions. And they will be viewing things from behind. So I think it will be best when you are running an enterprise, try pushing it into a limited liability. That is where you can have more funding. But to run an enterprise solely and you run out of cash, trust me, nobody would come to your aid. No, even God won't mind you. Nobody would mind you because nobody is willing to be a fool to a newbie. You see, let's be very honest. In the Ghanaian setting, people want the, in quotes, Abinwaha settings. People will only come in to support when they are seeing results. So sometimes pardon people when they say fake it till you make it.
Mm-hmm.
You understand?
Yeah.
You know that these are investors, these people can invest money, but they are not seeing your results. So you see many CEOs or many young startups tend to fake up things just to lure people into their nets to pick the money and keep running. We've all done that in one way or the other. You understand? So with the question of who are you going to, even your spouse, like you said, even your spouse won't mind you because he's like, then that means you're not responsible because for a business to run out of cash, it puts you, the CEO, or you, the one in charge, that you are not responsible because you need to have strategic management plans and you need to have a buffer. This is one thing two people don't know. For every business startup, you need to have a buffer. This buffer is untouchable. What I did with my buffer was I quickly had to buy treasury bills with it.
Okay.
So there is an extra money somewhere cooking. So anytime you are heading towards your threshold, you quickly fall on that. Then you push back again. But God being so good, 3.5 years, we are now flipping over. We are now flipping over and things are getting better. We still have more work to do, but
That's
we are doing so
good.
very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, my brother. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you so much for sharing. I mean, there were a lot of nuggets One of the things that you said that was very interesting is fake it so you make it. I think that that is something that uh, needs like a whole master class to be able to understand, right? It's one of those things that is very close to when people used to say, don't go after the money, go after the passion, and then everything is going to be okay. That, it's always taken out of context. All right. So it's good that you shared your experience, and I'm hoping that it has enriched the conversation for many of us. All right. But let me state here that, like I said before, the most important activity in business is customer acquisition. I'm telling you. See, no matter what, customers would always be the only reason why you can raise any money in the world. First is current customers. Second is potential customers, all defined by demand, right? For instance, when ChatGPT came first, it was by far one of those applications that had the most downloads in the shortest possible time ever in humanity. Like in the entire internet, from the time internet came, applications came, ChatGPT actually has the highest downloads in the shortest possible time. And when you hear things like that, it wouldn't be surprising that they were able to raise billions of dollars because numbers don't lie. Okay, in faking it, it's a very slippery road, right? Because it's not everybody that can actually sustain the hype. Because you may fake it and have a certain hype that makes you believable, but then after you've been able to attract the funding from the faking it, if you're not able to demonstrate, because some people really need people to believe in them before they can, show that they are good at what they do. But the truth is that the moment you fake it, you need to be able to show people that yes, they didn't waste their time, they didn't waste their money. But at the end of the day, don't waste your time trying to create any impression you cannot live up to. Okay? Don't waste your time trying to create any impression you cannot live up to. The truth is, show them the numbers. If they believe in you, they would invest. If they don't, they will not. And at the end of the day, it's always the customers that would always come through for you. Customers always are the only people that come through for you. Investors can leave you at any point in time, but the customers, when they believe in you, they will help you to bounce back. An example is Tesla. Tesla almost went bankrupt 3 consecutive times, 3 different stages of their existence. They almost went bankrupt, but it was always the customers that came through for them. Always the customers that enabled them to raise the financing from investors and from the stock markets to be able to get back to where they currently are, being over $1 trillion company at present, right? So thank you for sharing, honestly. Thank you for sharing. If anybody has any other stories to share, but then let's move because we run out of time. Yes, so I see that you are answering the questions. Please, for those of you who may not be able to answer because maybe you have not thought about it before, if you're in business, right, there are various stages of your business, and there are some times that you may be doing serious business, but you need some help to either fulfill an order, for it to stock, to produce, to fulfill a contract. Something will come up, or to pay salaries. All right, it's best to know that in your entire life there are relationships you've built with people that can give you some money. And if you've never done that, try and start doing it, because it's always good to build relationship that does not have demand on it, and then make sure that it's so solid that when demand comes, it's easy for them to extend that help to you. What do I mean? Don't build a relationship that is always like, give me, give me, give me. All right, before you need, make sure that they know that you've been there for them. I'll give you a story. A lot of my friends are getting ministerial positions and all that. There was even a lady that I did some work for some years back, and we've been quite close over the years. And then recently, she's been appointed one of the CEOs of the state institutions. And then I had this screenshot from some other friends of mine, and then they were like, Charlie, I had this yet, yeah, but they know that I don't like, going to ask for favors from people that I have not kept contact with. And It just makes you such an opportunist. Why did you never check on me? But now that you know that I have this position, you're checking on me. But let me just leave this caveat here. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business person, you are naturally an opportunist. Whether you like it or not, you are, in essence of the very word opportunist, that is who you are. Because without an opportunity, you don't have a business. Without a problem, there is no solution. Without a customer, there is no products, right? So don't be shy about being seen or called an opportunist, because at the end of the day, admiration is at the point of success, not when you are trying or struggling. People would admire you on your way to success when they see how much effort you're putting in. But at the end of the day, they will only call you role models, they will only call you their mentor when you can show that you're successful. So then the path to success, you shouldn't attach too much emotions to it. And that's something that I'm learning, because some of us, we think too much. We are very in our minds, right? So then what will she think? What will he think? I mean, they haven't heard from me and I'm going and my brother, the Bible says, ask and you shall be given. Because for all you know, they may be looking for you. And that is something I have personally experienced. That sometimes they've lost my number. Sometimes they can't even remember how they saved it. So by me reaching out, they tend to remember, oh, the call, yeah, 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 Charlie, there's an opportunity. Come and let's talk. That's it. So you're not reaching out just to ask for anything. You're reaching out to congratulate them. You are reaching out to, celebrate with them. And then eventually you keep in touch and find out, Charlie, how is the position going? And then, and then you also tell them, oh, this is what I'm doing. Because if they are really your friend, they might also want to know what you're doing. And depending on that interaction, something might come out of it. So please, the moment you decided to be a business person, that was your demonstration of being an opportunist. So don't feel bad when people say you're an opportunist. I mean, that's who you are. The only thing is that with everything, there's negative and there's positive. Just be the positive opportunist, because at the end of the day, you make the life of the people giving you the opportunity better, not bitter. That's the difference, right? They are negative opportunists. They just take and take and take and never give anything back. But there are positive opportunists who add value to whoever is extending to them that opportunity. All right, so please go. It's very important for you to please, please, please. I have enough people saying I should go. Even my brother-in-law is currently an MP, so you know how close I am to government now. But don't worry, we'll go. All right, so let's just let me check the time. It's 7:55. So we have the first P, and then please take notes. I think that I emphasize and overemphasize the importance of people in business, right? I should send you. Don't worry, we'll talk. I will emphasize and overemphasize your our the. I mean, we underemphasize the importance of people in business, but people are everything. All right, so let's go to the next P. The next P is the products. In this one, we are talking about both the tangible and the intangible, which is the physical product, or what's the intangible product, which is services. Okay, for a lot of you that have gone through the process of ideation to MVP to startup to growth, you know that we always tell you that look for the problem and then find the solution, and then the solution, well packaged, becomes a product. Last week, I shared with you the various stages of this thing you call entrepreneurship. Some of you are in hobby, some of you are self-employed, some of you are entrepreneurs, some of you are business people, some of you are investors. But the truth is that business that what makes a thing a business is how repetitive it is, and we'll get there. All right. If you have not built a system on selling your products, you are not a business yet. If you are now trying to innovate, if you are now trying to invent, if you are not trying to package, if you're not a business yet. Right? Because business is nothing but the sales or the selling of a product. The only time anybody will say you are in business is when you are selling and making money. Everything else is peripheral. Everything else is secondary to this activity of selling. So make sure that whatever product you have, customers are more excited about it than you. In fact, be surprised about how excited customers are about your business, your products. I'm telling you, a lot of us get so excited about products that at the end of the day, we don't really care whether people like it or not. And that is an attitude that we need to be very careful about. If you pass the test of figuring out if your product or service solves a need or a problem, that is a good thing. But if you haven't passed the test of figuring out if people are very excited about this solution you are giving them, enough for them to pay for it continuously, then you are not in business yet. Nobody is going to beg anybody to buy water because we know the importance of water. But some of us buy particular type of water. Why? Because we are excited about it or it's overly available and comparatively it is the best option. Bear that in mind. You don't struggle in business when the products you have is well sought after. In fact, your biggest challenge is what we call a good problem in business. A good problem in business is when demand outweighs or outpaces supply. That is a good problem to have. When there are more people knocking on your door for your products than you can supply them, that is a good problem to have. A bad problem is when you have more supplies than demand. When you filled your shop to the brim and nobody's buying anything, that is a bad problem because every day you don't sell is every day that you have caused financial loss to your company. Why? Because you might think that you only make money from selling your products, but you make money from selling your time. Because something that you could have sold today, if you don't sell it today and you sell it tomorrow, it's not the same thing. Don't forget what I said. We are only trading time. Some of you are trading time with services. Some of you are trading time with products, but we are only trading time. Do you know that there's always a time frame for actually selling everything that companies are producing? Because then they want to bring in the new version. Apple 16 has to be sold within a certain time frame. And when it's not sold within a certain time frame, they don't produce the quantity they've already, determined to produce. They've lost money. So don't be overly excited by filling your shops, your offices, your warehouses with products that nobody is buying. In fact, be upset about that. I would want to see an empty warehouse than a full warehouse with nobody lining up at the entrance to buy it. I don't know what stages of businesses we are all in, but the truth is demand is everything. And demand comes on the products we are selling, the services we are selling. So that's the second P. So after the people is the product. The third one is something that a lot of us we don't pay attention to, but is actually what determines our growth in business, which is pricing. That is the third P. Pricing. A bottle of water can be sold at different prices depending on what? The location. And it's not just the location, but the type of customers. Are we okay so far? So location is not as important as the people found in that location. Okay, so that's what makes location important. So when you go to Moviepig, it's not necessarily about the place as it is about the people that the place attracts. So you see, it still comes back. That's why I don't even have place in my 6P's. Because as for place, it is determined by pricing. How do you price? Is determined by who you're selling to. Do you understand? A bottle of Coke, depending on who it's being sold to where, can be priced differently. In fact, it's priced differently. You understand what I mean? If you sit in a plane and they are coming around with their duty-free products, The way they price that product is dependent on the perception of who bought a plane. So you and I may have saved all our earnings to go on a trip, but as long as we are in that plane, in the economy or the business class, the assumption is that we may all be the same, but we are not. But because of the place and the perception of the people in that place, it's the price is determined by that. I don't know if you understand me. So pricing is something that you need to study, especially if you are in the service business. Service business sells hours, minutes, and seconds. Product business similarly also sell that, but then other factors come in like the raw materials, the time of processing, the cost of the raw materials, all those things also come in, the duration of production, all those things, those factors enable you to price properly. But pricing is one thing that we need to pay attention to studying because it's not as easy as you're thinking. And sometimes our emotional connection to pricing also is the reason why we are not able to grow our business. I'll explain. At some point in my business life, charging a certain amount was like, hey, what if they're not able to afford? Who are they? You see, because a lot of the time we look at ourselves and then we predict our clients. So our clients are either just on our level or below us. Some of us cannot see above who we are. So if we can't afford it, then why would somebody else want to afford it? And that's the problem that some of us have. We have an emotional connection to pricing. So then the moment we price, then we are like, hey, what if, especially the service providers here, and sometimes the products, you pick an item and you want to sell it 100 cedis, but in the market, they are selling it 220 Ghana cedis. Now, the question is, why would people buy it at 100 cedis? The question is not that. The question is, who do you want to sell to and at what price? So I had an emotional connection to pricing in a way that, Charlie, it was more comfortable for me to give my services for free than to even charge for it. And that was what was preventing me from growing my business. So you could have a lot of people at any point in time wanting your services, but because you're giving it to them at a very cheap price or even for free, the moment you increase your price a bit, a lot of them fall off. But don't be upset. Remember what I taught you. There's always a difference between a volume business and a value business. You may be in the volume business because every time you think of an idea or you think of your business, you are thinking of the thousands and the tens of thousands, right? If 10,000 people buy my product at 10 cedis, I'm going to make 100,000 and you're excited about it. If 1 million people buy my product at 1 cedi, I'm going to make 1 million and I'm excited about it. We have all gone through this problem before. But the problem is we underestimate the amount of work and investment that goes into serving a multitude of people. We underestimate that. And that's why we hire people, we get a shop, we get all these things to serve the numbers. And then after we've acquired all these things, the numbers don't come. And then we become frustrated. Because our projections are always, always exciting. But then our realities are always, always sad. So you need to figure out who you are serving, your target market. That primarily determines where you have to peg your pricing. So if you know you have an emotional connection, for instance, let me give you an example, still from my own experience. In consultancy, right, we sell time. So somebody comes and says, hey, Echo, I have a problem in my business. Can I have a conversation with you? And I say, of course, you can have a conversation with me. But it would cost you $135 for an hour conversation with me. What do you think they would say? Hey! I say, bye! As simple as that. Because the truth is that the moment you waste time on one that cannot afford, that is the time you're taking it from yourself from finding one that can afford. I'll say that again. The moment you waste time, and I'm using the word waste and not spend, because anytime you spend with somebody, something has to come out of it. There should be a value for the money you're giving. I mean, the time you're giving. And the moment there's no value, you wasted it. All right. So the moment you waste time on somebody that cannot afford you, that is the same time you've taken away from spending on somebody that can afford you. Please, there's a reason why we have people in economic levels, right? We have the low income, we have the middle income, we have the high income, we have the ultra rich. Don't mix them. They don't like to be mixed. That's why a fashion designer that sews for a certain caliber of people will not accept orders from any kind of client, even if they can afford it. She has to be careful because imagine somebody walking into her fashion house and seeing a low income earner who has saved just to get that fashion designer to sew for her. The moment they come into that environment and they see somebody like that, they may not come back because you see, people walk in their levels. And when you're in business, don't be so emotionally attached to these things. Don't, are we not all human beings? Then why don't you give your products and services for free? Please, I beg you. One of the things that can actually determine your growth in business is one, pricing, and then two, the kind of target market you serve. These two things can determine your business growth more than anything else, right? We have a hand up. Paul, please, you have the floor.
Yeah, good evening, please. I have a question on the pricing.
Yes, sir.
I want to know the situation where your pricing or your price of your product seems to scare your customers, and every day in and out you realize that the number is dropping, and you also make your calculation to see that if you reduce the price right now, you are going to run at loss. So at that instant, what would you do? At that moment, what should you do to remain in business, please?
Thank you for asking, Paul. The first thing you should do is to change your attitude towards rejection. All right? Because definitely you are very, very emotionally connected to whether or not somebody buys. And the second thing is that you have your projections, your financial projections. So when you don't meet a certain number, you probably will not break even or make any profits. So because of that, you are openly accepting anybody, right? And that would probably be your biggest challenge in business. Being overly emotionally attached to pricing, and then two, wanting to serve everybody. Now, if we are serious business people, and this one you can check it in any market in Ghana, the moment they mention a price or we mention a price that is below their cost price, they automatically stop negotiating. Unless they are good salespeople that would sustain the conversation to a point where they are able to get you back above their cost price. Nobody sells below their cost price because it doesn't make sense. Then why are you in business? You could literally just close shop and be home and you probably would be better off. All right. So if you know that if you reduce by any margin whatsoever, you're going to run at a loss, then that should not even be your consideration in the first place. Your consideration should be to look at the type of customers who are actually still buying and keep looking for that type of customers. That's it. That is your consideration. In the midst of people complaining about your pricing, are people still buying? If 10 people complain and then 2 people buy, focus on those 2 people and then find out who they are and where they fall in the type of customers you're looking for, and then look for more of such customers. So you have to retool and recalibrate your projections, and then know that, okay, I might not get 100 people, I may just get 2 people. If I sell 2 at this price, I'll still be able to break even. If I add just 1 more, I'll make profits. So those are the things you have to think about. But don't be so passionate about trying to serve everybody if you are not in the business that anybody can afford. Do you understand? Okay. Yeah.
I'm most grateful.
Paul. Yeah, there's another hand up. Okay, we have Oti Zone. Oti, what's your name? Can you change to your name? Yes. Andy.
Yeah, Mr. Cole, in fact, thank you so much. God richly bless you for your teachings. We have a practical problem at our factory that I want to share with you so that you could help me with the pricing.
Okay.
So we cited after the competition, we are into processing of high quality cassava flour for industries.
Okay.
So after the KIC competition, we got to where they cultivate a lot of cassava. So the price is quite good there.
Mhm.
So a motor cane that we used to buy 1,200 is now 2,500 because of the dry season.
Okay.
Yes. So in that case, in fact, we are very disturbed with how to go with the pricing. In that case, what do you suggest as an expert?
First of all, know what your cost is. Please,
Okay.
no matter how expensive, the AE is, okay, no matter how expensive the cost materials are, always make sure that you know the cost of producing that product. And then make sure, even if you're going to work on your margins, okay, always work on your margins, not the cost price.
Okay.
Yes, so sit down and calculate and then know that, okay, with this new price for my raw material, when I produce, this is my cost price. Maybe initially I was making a 30% margin on this. Now,
Okay.
maybe because things are tough, I will just make 15% for now and then gradually grow it. Right, and
Okay.
sometimes you can take advantage of economies of scale. So you produce more so that at least you are able to reduce the cost of production. But the truth
Okay.
is, see, that's why when people get into business where the raw material is so hard to find, okay, or they are not able to afford the raw material, as a result, the price at which they were selling it's not possible any longer. They change the products or they do something else. And some of them add other ingredients that will reduce the cost. But the truth is that you are in business to make profits. You're in business to make money. You're not in business to only break even. Because if you keep breaking even, you're really not in business. Do you understand what I'm saying? You are literally selling something at 10 cities that you produce at 10 cities. And at that point, you're actually losing because your time has not been paid for, your intellectual properties have not been paid for, your innovations have not been paid for. So be very careful about that. Because honestly, when prices go up, especially when it is the raw materials, it's the customers that suffer. And we all know that there's no way fuel will go up and then it wouldn't be increased at the pump. But you see, what necessitates us still going is because we cannot live without these products. If people can live without your products, then that's where the challenge is. Because the more the cost is going up, the less they will patronize because it is not a need, it is only a want. But fuel is a need. So no matter how much they increase, we'll still go and buy it. Medicine is a need. No matter how much they increase, we'll still go and buy it. Do you get what I'm saying? So sometimes we need to figure out the business we are doing, the products we are producing, is it a need or is it a want? Can people just and not use it when they need it? I mean, when the economy becomes tough, if they can choose not to use it and they'll be fine, then you should know that the dynamics of the economy is that, Charlie, this business, you either need to try something else or figure out how you can reduce your margins to be able to still stay in business. All right. Okay. OT Zone, your hand is up.
Yeah. So
Thank you very much. My name is Daniel.
Daniel, okay.
Yeah, smart.
Smart.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I understand what my brother is saying. I'm sure maybe he has not been in the value chain for
For a
some
long
time when
time.
it comes to production. So you are into cassava, right?
Yes, please.
Okay. So what I would say is, let me come from this point. You look at the time of entry. Cassava is a seasonal crop.
Mm-hmm.
It's 6 months, right? So there's a time of abundance and there's a time of scarcity. I hope you are getting me right.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
Yes. So if you are doing market entry and you are going at a time of scarcity, definitely production costs will be high.
Yeah.
So fine. If you still want to go in at a point of scarcity, that means you should find a way of preserving your goods. So you preserve it,
Okay.
then you do the production, you keep it. You don't sell it. You keep it. When the time of abundance comes, you buy. Then you use the concept of the FIFO leaf or something like that they call it. So you sell those goods in conjunction with the new ones. Then you break even. Then you advise yourself to now go in when it's abundant. So you will now take advantage of the product being in abundance. Then you buy more. Then you store. Then when scarcity comes, the abundance you have bought will now sell to clear that negative margin you had. So you do some work, but there's a solution to it. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yes, please. I get
It's
it
quite
well.
confusing. Let me come again. There's scarcity. You understand? Hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
Yeah, there's scarcity, and you've already gone to buy your produce. So production is high. Yes, you still have to produce, but don't sell. Keep them. Okay. For that at that moment, yes, sacrifice your resources. Produce, keep them. When there is abundance, you buy more than you produce. Okay. Then when it's time to sell, you sell the old ones together with the new ones. At that moment, you break even. You understand? You would break even at that point. Then now take advantage of the next season of abundance to now produce more to clear the negative and now enter profit margin. So your leverage will now be on when there's abundance. You don't buy in terms of scarcity. Either than that, you will fold out.
Okay. And I get you well.
You get it right. So
Okay.
produce
Yes,
now.
please.
Don't put a price tag on it. Just produce and keep them.
Yeah. So
Don't
that's
sell.
good. But that's also
Yeah.
where you have to activate your investments, the investor side of the people that I mentioned. Because at this
Yeah.
point, you may need a lot more capital to be able to buy a lot more of your raw material. And at the end, you probably also need a lot of storage space to be able to
Yeah.
hold that for that long,
Let me add this.
right? Yeah.
And also, you see, when you're into agric, okay, always try to trace the source where the produce is coming from. I can confidently tell you that where you bought that cassava, that for of cassava, there are areas that they even produce cassava that they want people to come for them. I can show you where a place like Sefi Adabukro, if you know Sefi very well. I've been to those areas. Plantain and cassava is always in abundance there. They produce because of the distance from that place to the market.
Yeah.
You want to trace the source, get it cheaper there, because that is where you make profit. When you get the goods at a cheaper price, don't just go to the market and buy what the market is selling. Fight with them and get what you want at a fight with them. Definitely, it's a market, so fight, but not as in the abuse. Bargain very
Okay.
well.
All right. So
Bargain very
thank
well.
you so much. But I think we'll have to move on. What we'll do is that maybe beyond this one, reach out and then we'll connect each other and then you can learn. There is a Jumbo, your hand is up. You have the floor.
Yes, thank you, Echo.
Welcome.
For those of us in the service business, as I typed in the comment section, it's
Mhm.
quite challenging, especially for me who is into cleaning. Cleaning. Some people have this mindset that what are you coming to do that you are charging such an amount of money? And for my customers, most of them are word of mouth. Like people recommend me. I get customers from referrals. So I don't know the message they
tell them.
put across to the people, and so like their mindset already is, oh, as for Jumbo there, she's affordable. And when you mention the amounts, they go like, hey, but this person I can get 1 or 2 people to do it for me. Or they'll just say, oh, it's not that dirty, just clean this portion and mop. Like they're rather giving you what they think cleaning is, and you should look at it and charge them. And when you try to tell them, oh, it's not this, it's not that, then it's like you don't hear from them.
So you move on, Jumbo. You move on.
But it's not easy.
No, because Jumbo, if you had, okay, let me ask you this question. Okay, let's say tomorrow,
okay,
if you had a call today that tomorrow 3 people need your service, and then one is prepared to pay you, let's say 1,000 for the same work, another is paying you 500, and this another is paying you 200. Which one would you take?
I'll pick 1,000.
Okay, why were you able to pick 1,000?
Because I think the customer understands the volume of work and the value of service I'm providing.
Okay, so what happens to the 500 and 200? Would you let them go, or you do all 3 at the same time? Imagine you have the same resources. Would you let them go? No, honestly, would you let them go? You let them go, right?
Yes, especially the 200. I'll let the 200 go. Maybe I'll consider the 500.
No, you can't consider, you have limited resources. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, listen, the reason why we tolerate these kinds of customers is because we don't have demand. Anybody that has demand they move quickly. Because if you can't afford me, don't waste my time. Let me go and find, until I've gone to all my potential customers and none of them can afford me. Then I come back and sit down and figure out why. Because you made a statement which is very profound, and a lot of people are associated with that same statement. Oh, as for Jumbo, she's cheap. So why is she trying to be expensive? And the truth is, anybody that can give you 1,000 would want to see if they can give you 500. It's normal. And if you're able to stand your ground and then provide them an exceptional service, and they know your quality, they will call you. So the moment you see, we sell time, don't forget that. The moment you waste time trying to convince one person to bring you on at even half the price that you would have normally charged, you built a perception with that person. When they refer you to somebody else, they will tell them the same thing. Oh, don't worry, what do you cancel my money 500 or Beji? You see, so you build a perception, and all the type of clients that you are getting now are the same. You are in the economy class. But if you ever want to go to the business class, you have to be able to let go of some. I'm not saying, that's what I'm saying. You have to also know where you are in life. If you're at the survival stage, but when you are doing well, and I'll start home, because now you need to be selective, because you can't serve all your clients. So the truth is that it's because you are not really focusing on how to get demand, and you are building your business strictly on referrals, which are far from each other. Like, for instance, you get a referral this week, you might get another referral next month. So between this week and next month, what are you doing? That's the thing. So you know your job already. Right now, what you need to learn as a business leader is how to sell and who to sell to, so that at any point in time you have option. And that's when I told you that if tomorrow you have to clean 3 houses, one is 1,000, one is 500, one is, you wouldn't even blink an eye to let the 200 go. But as survival, if 200 is all you have, you probably take it, right? So trust me, when it comes to pricing, which is the 3rd P, it's not about what you are doing, as it is about who you are doing it for. Why do you think some lawyers are rich and some lawyers are poor? Why do you think some lecturers are rich and some lecturers are poor? Why do you think some teachers are rich and some teachers are poor? When you're a teacher in an international school, there's a difference between that and a teacher in a public school. And there's nothing wrong with a teacher in a public school. They may even be better than the teacher in an international school, but it's the environment. And the people they are dealing with. I have a friend that is a teacher in one private mining international school like that. And the money they are paying her, even though she's in a village somewhere, she wouldn't ever come to the city because she won't get that kind of money anywhere in the city. So it is not, see, we don't have too much time. So then if we don't get to the point where we determine the kind of customers we want to serve, and then we learn how to attract those type of customers, we are going to get the customers we don't want, and we'll always be fighting with them. You're not in the business of fighting. You're in the business of serving people who see the value and they see the kind of work, and then you deliver quality and you get paid for it. Because honestly, if you get into the value business, you could be doing one job and it will last you for a whole month. But you could also use the same time to be wasting on another job that you have to do 10 of the same job to even make enough money to survive for a month. So the problem here is not the negotiation of the clients. The problem here is probably you have not perfected the act of attracting and selling yourself, your business, your products, and your service so that you can have a lot more demand at any given time. Okay, so yes, for now, because it's referral, you might have to like overlook certain things and just do the work. But if you keep tolerating it, that is what people are going to associate you with. And the moment your business is branded as, oh, low cost, don't ever think you play in the big league. Okay? So please, there are so many different dynamics when it comes to pricing. And maybe one of these days we'll sit down and figure it out. But every stage of your life, your business life, your delivery would also determine the kind of people you associate with. And when you are starting, of course, you can take any jobs. For instance, you want to be an MC. When you start, any job you take. But as you grow, for now, people like Jerry Ajelolo, it's not every event they will do. Why? Because they have built their value so much that they are very selective of the kind of customers they serve. And even if they will do it for free for somebody, the person still has to be in that caliber of the type of clients they want to serve. And please, you have to be intentional. And there is not a thing of pride or joy for people to associate you with, oh, as for a cordier, any amount he will take. Oh, no, no. And it's okay if people say that you're expensive. The only time people will say you're expensive is if they can't afford you. Anybody that can afford you, they don't say you're expensive. They look for the value you're giving them. So please, on the call, anybody that is here, bear this in mind. Pricing can make or break your business. The lower your price, the more work you have to do. The higher your price, the few people you serve, and the more money you are likely to make. But it's all in stages. All right. Another thing I'll say, especially for the products businesses here, this is something that you should take from a company like Coca-Cola, right? So the Coke product is the same. The Coke containers are different. So they want everybody to have a taste of Coke. So they have the Kapokwe ones, and then they have the 1 liter ones. You decide, depending on how much you can afford. And that is something that we also need to take a look at. The product might be good for everybody. It's the same as water. There's a sachet, there is a small bottle, medium-sized bottle, big bottle. There is the one that you put in the water dispenser, and it goes on and on and on. But the truth is, if your product is so good that everybody needs it, and you desire to serve everybody, make sure that you categorize the client and then produce to fit the pricing that you're giving them. The product might be the same, but the packaging might be different. And you still get to serve everybody, but you don't put them all in the same category. All right. So please, this is where I'll end for today. Hopefully next week I'll continue with the 3 other P's, and then we will learn and see how best. But then so far I've spoken about people. I broke people down into 5. That is you, your customers, your investors, your employees, and then your service providers, your other stakeholders, right? I also mentioned products. Products are very important because they are the things that you are serving people with, and in exchange, they are paying you. And products can be categorized into two. That's the products and then the service, right? The tangible and the intangible. And the third one is pricing. Please be very mindful of pricing. And it also is determined by your target market. If you get your target markets wrong, you tend to struggle when it comes to convincing them about pricing. So that is where we're going to end today's session on business growth strategies for 2025. I'm breaking this down because we need to address issues from the roots, this time around. Don't be patching the problems, and at the end you still keep having the same problem. Let's address it from the roots this year, and hopefully by the end of the first quarter we would have built a capacity enough to be able to tackle things right. If you're struggling, please don't waste too much time. You can go and get a job. In fact, not as a full-time employee. You can be a consultant for somebody, do it on a freelance basis, and whilst you do your business part-time, so that you don't, because of your desperate need for money, settle for something that is going to impact your business for the rest of your business's life. All right. And on that, I'll conclude for today. Thank you so much for making time to join us. If you have any questions, please reach out to Esther. She's going to let me know and then we'll answer them. But in the absence of any other question, I don't see any other hand up. I would say goodbye. The Ember 100 is still going on, and anybody that needs any help, you can always reach out to Esther. Her number is in the meeting room 059-562-3090. So you see now I am segregating it. So those of you who can't afford, you reach Esther. If you can afford, you reach me. It's normal. Don't be upset about it. All right, because we don't have all the time in the world. So then you as a business person need to focus on where you get the most value. All right. So don't be so upset when you call somebody and say, speak to my PA. Sometimes we get so upset about it. But please speak to Esther, and then for whatever problems you have, she's going to get you the solution you need. Of course, in consultation with all the other team members. So thank you. I don't take your presence here for granted. I hope to see you here again next week. And I hope that we focus on really building our capacities to be able to grow our businesses this year. Take care and enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you, Nana. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Martin. And thank you all those that were able to join today. Goodbye from the rest of us at Ember. I'll see you next week. Bye.